So up until this point, what we've done is we've been given an equation and we've graphed it. You've been given a graph and you've written the equation. The last component to this is writing the equation without the graph, when you just simply have data points to go on. So the things to remember are that we're working in the form y equals mx plus b, and that slope is going to be represented by the variable m, and y is going to be represented by the variable b. Now, the biggest part to this is going to be that we're only given coordinates. So the first part that we're going to have to do is calculate what is our slope. Remember that to calculate slope, we are subtracting the y coordinates over the x coordinates, and that it doesn't matter the order that we go in. The bad parentheses. It doesn't matter the order that we go in as long as we keep the coordinates lined up. So we can say 4 minus -4 over -3 minus 2, or we can say -4 minus 4 over over 2 minus -3. We'll get the same answer either way. 4 minus -4 becomes, add the opposite, 4 plus 4, which is 8, over -3 minus 2, add the opposite, becomes -5. Or we can say -4 minus 4, add the opposite, becomes -8, over 2 minus -3, add the opposite, becomes 2 plus 3, which is 5. So either way, we end up with a slope of -8/5. The negative typically is associated with the numerator. X. Then we look and we see our y-intercept is 3. It's positive, so it becomes +3. That is the equation of the line that goes through those points and has a y-intercept of 0, 3. Take a look at the second one. 2, 1, and 6, 2, and the y-intercept is going to be -4. So we know we're going to subtract the points, and that order doesn't matter. We can do 1 minus 2 over 2 minus 6, or we can do 2 minus 1 over 6 minus 2. 1 minus 2 is -1 because we add the opposite. 2 minus 6, add the opposite, becomes -4. Or we can say that 2 minus 1 is 1 and 6 minus 2 is 4. Notice that when we end up with -1 over -4, if we think of this as a division problem, -1 divided by -4, we would end up with +1/4 because both the signs are the same. So that's how they are equivalent as to equal to 1/4. So our equation is y equals our slope of 1/4 x. Our y-intercept is 0, -4. It's a negative, so we write -4. Now if you want to write plus -4, it is not wrong to write it that way. You just usually won't see math teachers write it that way. All right, taking a look at the third example. We know we've got to figure out what our slope is. So we're going to say so that we can either say 8 minus -6 over 3 minus -1, or we can say -6 minus 8 over -1 minus 3. We know we should end up with the same answer regardless. 8 minus -6, we add the opposite, we get 8 plus 6, which is 14. 3 minus -1, add the opposite, we get 3 plus 1, which is 4, which we know we can then simplify by dividing by 2 to get 7/2. We don't have to necessarily simplify, but if I were to go and graph this, I'd only want to have to go up 7 instead of up 14, only want to have to go over 2 instead of over 4. Just means the points are going to be closer together. For -6 minus 8, add the opposite, and you get -6 plus -8, which is -14. -1 minus 3, add the opposite, becomes -1 plus -3, which is -4. We can simplify by -2 to give us 7/2. So we have y equals 7/2 x. Y-intercept is +3, so we would write +3. the last one. For finding slope, we could say 3 minus 7 over 8 minus 5, or we can say 7 minus 3 over 5 minus 8. We know that we should end up with the same answer. 3 minus 7, add the opposite, becomes 3 plus negative 7, which is negative 4, over 8 minus 5 is 3. Or we can say 7 minus 3 is 4, over 5 minus 8, add the opposite, becomes 5 plus negative 8, which is negative 3. And again, if one of them is negative, we can think of the whole fraction as negative. So we would have y equals our slope is negative 4/3. Usually the negative's assigned to the numerator, but it is not wrong to assign it to the denominator. X, then we see that it says minus 1, so we're going to subtract 1. So our answer to the equation for the line that goes through those 2 points with the slope, or with the y-intercept of 0, negative 1, is y equals negative 4/3 x minus 1.